You ever hear the phrase mandatory fun and just kind of cringe? You know, that forced team building day or the required happy hour? It feels like an oxymoron, right? But what if I told you that the most famous fun at work philosophy in the world didn't start in some stuffy boardroom, but with actual fish flying through the air in Seattle? Yeah, let's get into it. So check out this quote from John Yokoyama. He's the owner of the Pike Place Fish Market. Back in 1986, his business was literally on the verge of bankruptcy. But instead of hiring a bunch of consultants or writing a new business plan, he and his team did something different. They just decided they were going to be world famous. That's it. They just said it.
And that simple, almost crazy declaration is where our story really kicks off. It all starts with those world-famous flying fish.
Okay, just look at this timeline for a second. The market's been around forever, since 1930. And get this, Yokoyama bought it in '65 just so he could make his car payments on a Buick Riviera. But 1986, that's the turning point. Facing total failure, they make that incredible stand, and what happens? It works. By 1990, the Goodwill Games are in town, a TV crew stumbles upon them, and boom, suddenly these guys are on televisions all over the world.
So what did becoming world famous actually look like in practice? Well, it wasn't some corporate memo, that's for sure. It was pure, unfiltered, spontaneous theater. They started literally throwing the fish that customers ordered across the counter. They were chanting, getting the crowds involved, even letting tourists try to catch a salmon. My personal favorite? Using a monkfish as a puppet to freak people out. This wasn't a strategy, it was just them. And that authentic energy turned their failing shop into a landmark that pulled in 10,000 visitors a day.
But you know how it goes, right? When something is that successful, that organic, and that fun, the business world takes notice. And they want to bottle it. So, naturally, this incredible phenomenon evolved into something else entirely. The fish philosophy.
And this is where our story takes a hard pivot. All of that raw, chaotic, beautiful energy, it got captured on film. It was studied, broken down, and then neatly packaged into a best-selling corporate training video. Before you know it, huge companies, we're talking Southwest Airlines, Sprint, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, are showing these videos, trying to teach their employees how to be a little more like the fish guys in Seattle. So, what was the secret sauce they were selling? Well, the fish philosophy boils all that wonderful chaos down into 4 very neat practices. First, be there, be present. Second, play, have some fun. Third, make their day, create a good experience. And fourth, choose your attitude. On the surface, it sounds pretty good, right? Like a simple recipe for a happier workplace.
And the promise to all those corporations? It was basically irresistible. This wasn't being sold as just fun for fun's sake. Oh no, this was a serious business strategy. It was positioned as an antidote to burnout and cynicism, a way to boost creativity, and ultimately, a path to building a high-performance culture. Who wouldn't want to buy that?
But this is where we have to pause and ask the really big question at the heart of all of this. Are we having fun yet?
I mean, can you really solve deep, complicated issues in a workplace with a training video and a few scheduled activities? Can you take the organic magic that happened in a chaotic, open-air fish market and somehow replicate it in a cubicle farm? Well, academics who study workplaces actually have a term for this. They call it managed fun. And their research points to a really big problem. These packaged fun programs tend to just gloss over the incredibly complex human relationships and power dynamics that exist at work. The bottom line is, the fun that bubbles up from the employees is not the same thing as fun that's mandated by a manager. So, how do employees really react when management decides it's time for some mandatory fun? Well, researchers have come up with a really helpful 4-part framework for this: engage, enjoy, endure, and escape.
And this breakdown is just perfect. When the boss says, let's play a game, you're going to get a few different reactions. Some people will genuinely engage. They're all in. It's great for them. Then you have those who enjoy it. I mean, who doesn't like free cake? But it doesn't actually make them feel more connected to their job. Then you've got a whole lot of people who just endure it. They'll put on a smile and go through the motions because, well, they have to. And finally, some will actively escape. They'll resist or find an excuse to be anywhere else because the whole thing feels forced.
So what's the solution? Where does all this leave us? Well, it brings us to the real heart of the matter, the search for authentic fun. This table just says it all, doesn't it? Look at the 2 sides. The fun at Pike Place was driven by the employees themselves. It was messy and spontaneous. It was authentic to their culture. It was simply a way of being. Packaged fun, on the other hand, is usually led by managers. It's scheduled, standardized. It feels like a bolt-on initiative, not something real.
It's a training program, not a culture.
So look, the point of all this isn't that fun at work is a bad thing. Of course not. The real takeaway is that authenticity is everything. Fun that grows from the ground up, that's genuine to the people and the place, that's incredibly powerful. But fun that's handed down from on high often just feels hollow.
And that really leaves us with a final question to chew on. For our own jobs and our own companies, what are we actually striving for? A workplace that desperately tries to manufacture fun, or one that just focuses on being authentic and letting the fun happen naturally?